karate master decided to showcase his skills by attacking a royal guard. What happened next shocked everyone. You won't believe how this story ends. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. And let's promote respect for the royal guard together. In the heart of London, on a bright and peaceful afternoon, the atmosphere around Buckingham Palace was as calm and regal as ever. Families took photos, children giggled, and tour guides shared tales of royal history. But the harmony was soon disturbed by an unexpected source, Jack Randall, a former karate champion from the United States. At 35, Jack was built like a fighter and carried himself with an unmistakable arrogance. Rather than appreciate the ceremony before him, he mocked it, loudly declaring the royal guards to be nothing more than statues in uniform. Jack drew curious glances and uneasy frowns from the crowd. With each taunt, his confidence swelled. He challenged the guard's honor, laughing and jeering, determined to provoke a reaction. His voice cut through the square, disturbing the respectful silence that normally surrounds the palace. As Jack's antics escalated, people began raising their phones, sensing something serious was about to unfold. The moment was charged with tension, the kind that lingers before a storm. Jack had no idea that what he saw as a harmless performance would become a powerful lesson in humility, and a moment the entire world would soon be talking about. As Jack Randall's taunts grew louder, the tension in the air thickened, holding the crowd in suspense. What began as a few mocking words soon escalated into a bold performance. Jack thrived on the attention, shadowboxing, shouting insults, and stepping over the barrier with theatrical flair. His movements became more exaggerated, his voice more commanding, and his ego soared. Tourists, unsure of whether to intervene or record, stood frozen. Some gasped, others whispered, "This is going too far." All eyes were on Richard Hunt, the stoic royal guard, standing like a statue, his face unreadable. Yet beneath that calm exterior, Richard was assessing, waiting, and ready. The scene played out like a slow-burning fuse. Each step Jack took, each word he hurled, built momentum toward an inevitable confrontation. Then, in a flash, it happened. Jack lunged with a high kick, showboating for the crowd, but Richard moved like lightning. With flawless precision, he sidestepped and countered, sending Jack crashing to the ground. The square erupted, shocked gasps, cheers, and applause. The long build-up had ended in an instant, a striking reminder that discipline and quiet strength often carry more power than loud bravado. It was a real-time lesson in respect and consequences. Jack Randall's fall from arrogance to humiliation was swift and unforgettable. Once a celebrated karate champion, he arrived at Buckingham Palace not as a tourist, but as a performer, ready to mock tradition for the sake of attention. His downfall began with a single, ill-advised kick aimed at royal guard Richard Hunt. A move meant to entertain a crowd, but one that instead exposed Jack's ignorance and disrespect. Within seconds, Richard's disciplined response left Jack sprawled on the pavement, stunned and speechless. But that was only the beginning. Video footage of the incident flooded social media, and public sentiment turned sharply against Jack. He was no longer a champion, but a cautionary tale. A man who let ego blind him to the importance of honor and heritage. News headlines condemned his actions. Online comments were ruthless. Even his attempt at a formal apology was met with skepticism. The public, especially older generations, saw in Richard Hunt a figure of dignity, grace, and discipline, and in Jack, a warning of what happens when arrogance collides with tradition. His reputation shattered. Jack stood before a judge, sentenced not just in court, but by society. His name, once tied to trophies, now symbolized disgrace. The moment Richard Hunt defended himself with swift, controlled force became a symbol far greater than a single act. It reignited widespread public respect for the Royal Guard. As video footage of the incident spread across social media, the response was overwhelming. Canadians, especially older generations who value dignity, discipline, and service, resonated deeply with Richard's unflinching composure. He didn't retaliate in anger or step outside his duty. Instead, he protected himself and the honor of the uniform with calm precision. While Jack Randall tried to spin his actions as a joke, the public wasn't buying it. Across platforms, people praised Richard as a true professional, a man who upheld his responsibilities with courage and restraint. The Royal Guard issued a powerful statement, reinforcing that they are more than ceremonial figures. They represent national values that must be protected. For many viewers, especially seniors who appreciate tradition and the importance of service, Richard Hunt became a quiet hero. His actions sparked conversations not only about personal accountability, but also about respecting institutions that stand as symbols of a nation's history and pride. In the end, the real message wasn't about Jack's fall, but Richard's rise as a beacon of honor and integrity. The courtroom scene marked the final chapter in Jack Randall's public downfall, a sobering reminder that no one is above the law, not even a former champion. As the judge delivered a 6-month prison sentence for assault and public disorder, the packed courtroom sat in reflective silence. For many, especially older Canadians who value justice and accountability, the verdict affirmed the importance of respecting not just individuals, but the traditions they represent. The evidence was overwhelming. Video footage, witness testimony, and Jack's own actions left little room for defense. His claim that it was just a joke fell flat against the backdrop of Richard Hunt's professionalism and poise. While some debated the length of the sentence, most agreed it sent a strong, necessary message. This wasn't merely about punishment. It was about restoring dignity to a symbol of national honor and ensuring that respect remains non-negotiable, regardless of status or ego. The aftermath of Jack Randall's stunt rippled far beyond the gates of Buckingham Palace. For many Canadians, especially seniors who cherish order and tradition, it was heartening to see widespread support for the Royal Guard. The public's response was swift and unified. Social media exploded with praise for Richard Hunt's restraint and professionalism. Commenters called him a true hero and a symbol of national dignity. While Jack became a cautionary tale, headlines across the UK and Canada reminded viewers that ego has no place where honor stands. Even as Jack issued a formal apology, the damage was done. His reputation lay in ruins, while Richard, calm and composed, returned to duty with renewed respect. The message was clear and powerful. Tradition is not to be mocked, and those who serve with dignity deserve our admiration. The public stood not only with Richard, but with every guard who serves in silence and strength. The courtroom proceedings marked the final chapter of Jack Randall's downfall, a dramatic conclusion to a reckless display of arrogance. For many older Canadian viewers, it was a stark and satisfying affirmation that justice, when carried out with firmness and fairness, still holds weight in today's world. The judge, stern and composed, reminded everyone that no amount of athletic fame could excuse public misconduct or the disrespect of tradition. Eyewitness testimonies and video evidence left no room for doubt. Jack had crossed a line, and he was held accountable. His 6-month prison sentence wasn't just a punishment, it was a statement. It told the world that the Royal Guard is not merely ceremonial, but a living embodiment of discipline and national pride. In contrast, Richard Hunt's calm return to duty stood as a silent but powerful reminder that dignity always outlasts ego. For many, it was justice served, both in law and legacy. In the aftermath of the trial, the contrast between Jack Randall and Richard Hunt could not have been more striking. While Jack's name became a cautionary tale, a symbol of what happens when arrogance overrides respect, Richard Hunt emerged as a national symbol of honor and professionalism. For Canadian seniors who value tradition and quiet strength, Richard represented the enduring qualities that matter most: duty, composure, and restraint. He returned to his post at Buckingham Palace, not with fanfare, but with the same silent vigilance that first defined him. His red tunic and towering bearskin hat now carried more meaning than ever. They stood for values that cannot be bought or broken. Richard's quiet heroism resonated deeply with viewers who remember a time when respect for service was a given. In a world often too quick to praise bravado, this moment reminded us that true strength lies in character, not in spectacle. The story of Jack Randall left a lasting imprint not just on the crowd at Buckingham Palace, but on the wider public across the globe. Once a celebrated karate champion, Jack became a symbol of disgrace, a man who let ego cloud his judgment and paid the price. For many, especially older Canadians who value humility and self-awareness, his downfall served as a clear lesson. No one is above respect, tradition, or the law. The courtroom's verdict, 6 months in prison, was not just a sentence, but a societal reminder that actions have consequences. Headlines and social media buzz turned Jack's name into a cautionary tale, while Richard Hunt, the stoic guard, became a figure of admiration. Canadians watching from afar saw in this story a reaffirmation of the values they hold dear: discipline, dignity, and doing one's duty quietly and courageously, even in the face of provocation.